Hello, everyone. My name is Sheila Munyiva. I am an actor, a producer, and a director here in Kenya, and I'm super stoked to be on this episode.
Leo niko kando ya superstar. Unasikia actor, director. Me Kolo, the Prince Kamakao. Yeah.
All right, and finally, our guest.
My name is Valerie Msavi, and I'm with Amref Health Africa.
Now, straight into the conversation. In 5 months, Kenya has reported over 30,000 cases and over 480 deaths. Young people have been accused by the government, especially by Mutahi Kagwe, that we are the super spreaders. We're the people spreading this disease in our communities, to our families, at the workplace. But is this the real thing?
I agree with Mutahi that the young people are the super spreaders. And let's just even start with him in his home. His son was found, having a good time. And the dad was like, you know what, he's an adult, you can ask him. But he's a young adult. And so it's risky behaviors like those where we, the young people, we've got this invincibility about us. So you go for your parties, you have your drink ups, you have your meetups. And then after that, you go home, or on Sunday, you go visit your relas, and then guess what? You who's strong and young, uko poa, but sasa shosho yako ama auntie yako in her 50s, she gets completely wasted by the disease.
We are the ones spreading this. But I think the fault is also with okay, it's not really a fault, but it's the way they phrased it. When COVID came, they were like, it's susceptible to, older guys. So young guys were like, can get it, I can get it, you can get it. 2 days later, I'm good. So why not? Young
people are over 77% of the population. So if 77% of the population is in the confinement of COVID, automatically they'll become super spreaders.
What's the real problem in your view, Sheila?
Young people throw caution to the wind. That's one thing. Young people are not necessarily bound by the rules or the regulations that the older generation have.
It's just the YOLO mentality. You only live once. You're not necessarily brave. Just sometimes stupidity and bravery. Yeah. There's a very fine line in between.
I would not want to say stupid, no. Because you see, also when young people are change makers. And there's some young people that are adhering to the regulations. Like in a recent study that we did in WIACT, 90% of young people even know the symptoms of COVID-19 and they understand the messaging and they do believe that COVID exists in the community. So also let's not burden the youth.
Okay, Valerie, now I want to throw a question to you. You're saying let's not blame the youth. This guy knew very well he was sick. Decided to go see their mom, their dad, their shosho. The mom died. The dad died. But again, you want to tell me that we should not blame the youth? I think we should be a bit bold and say, wacheni ufala.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. We should say that as well. And it's quite unfortunate for the family. It's true. I can say was it a young man?
Yeah.
That was quite not, I think it was just a stupid act, yeah?
This disease is no longer unknown to us. So it's that thing where you feel like you're experiencing symptoms. Our hospitals, they're overcrowded, so you can't go there. Then you stay home. Everyone has put out videos on social media and you see how they're taking care of themselves in the house. Afu watu wanapona, then guys, they chomoka and they can go about their business.
What is the most nature of households, for example, in Nairobi? Because 60% of the population live in informal settlements in the slums, yeah? Mm-hmm. And you know that in the slums, there's nothing like home-based care. There's no space even for social distancing. So it's better for us as young people, even the general population, to prevent and remain COVID negative.
Do we as young people believe that, COVID is real? Collins?
Yeah, I think we do. We do believe it's real.
No, do you believe?
Yeah, I believe it's real because, we've seen the consequences and it's not just in Kenya, it's around the world. But you see, like she said, 60% of guys stay in informal settlements. And for those guys, kina Jeff Koinange can afford to isolate for 2 weeks. They'll eat, they'll sleep in a nice place. But not everyone is privileged like that. There are people who have to go and hustle to get the food. So it's a very delicate balance because you're thinking, okay, so should I stay home? Or should I sleep hungry? Now you have to balance between your common sense and you eating. It's a very, very delicate balance. And a lot of guys in Nairobi, that's the balance they have to deal with. That's their life every day. So you cannot tell someone to self-isolate for 2 weeks. I kule mawe. You expect to eat what? Are you going to feed him?
Me, Pato, I'll tell you what. When it comes to whether COVID is real or not, I think young people believe that the disease is real more than the older generation. It's because we're a digital generation. As guys, we are online, so we're not blind. In the beginning, there was a lot of conflicting reports. So many people didn't really know whether this thing was true or not. But then you stay there on Instagram and a friend of a friend or a cousin of a friend goes on their IG and says, guys, I've just contracted coronavirus and now I'm isolating or I'm in the hospital. Young people know it's there and they've accepted that it's there because it's all over. We can see it.
Who has failed the youth? Is it that, tumechoka?
There's a way when our government speaks, it either sounds like propaganda, or people trying to push a bias or an agenda. Even if the president and the CS, they stand there, they say stuff, we doubt it because we are not sure if it's true, if their intentions are right. And I think that's where, as a system, as a country, that's where we failed. It's from the fact that people just don't trust and believe their gava. And that's what has taken a toll. And it's taken long for guys to actually be like, okay, this thing is here, and now it's up to us.
One day I was in Tower, and there was a job that was written, patriotism is loving your country, but fear your government.
Okay.
Because, all of us were watching TV. Was it on Sunday? And we saw those figures. You get someone wake as a company 4 months later, 4 billion bob. You get. And these are some of the things. Now, with things like that, how are you going to trust that government? Mtu akikuja kukuambia kaa nyumbani, lock yourself out, na umekimbia kwa Atoli Kajiado. Some of these things are the things that really piss me off. Because you cannot be telling me, stay home, and you yourself, umetoka hapa, once at that time the borders were closed, and then someone is in Kajiado. How the hell did you get to Kajiado, my guy? Wamefunga for you, how did you get there? Are you an essential service? Umekimbia huko kuongea BBI. You get BB. What?
And they're not youth, are they?
What? Those guys are 70 and 20, I think has been 70 since 1920. How? And then you're telling me to stay home. I mean, it's nuts, you guys. And then you expect me to trust in what you're going to say. Honestly. You stand there, after the expose now numbers are, all of a sudden now we are flattening the curve. Tumefika 200. Is it miracles? What happened? What changed between Friday and Monday? What changed?
They tell us the truth.
You tell me to trust in this guy. Are you kidding me? If doctors get sick and die on the job and they are still charged in the same hospitals where they work, what kind of nonsense is that?
Okay.
If the doctors are being given PPEs that are broken, that have holes with gunias, they are not being given protective covering.
What?
We are on our own.
The government cares for you. If they cannot care for the people who are taking care of the sick people, who are you?
The fact that we are on our own, our government definitely then has failed us. But we have organizations like AMREF.
Yeah, no.
Hold on.
Organizations are not elected by anyone.
You're not listening. You're not listening to my point. The reason why I have brought up AMREF is because Valerie does work for AMREF. So what is AMREF doing to help our youth, and other citizens of this country confront this COVID maneno?
Let me speak about what we are doing. You see, like our group CEO always tells us to follow science. You see, basic messagings that speak power. Follow science, because there's been a lot of myths around COVID, yeah? So number one, what are we doing? We are disseminating accurate messaging. What again are we doing? We are doing research, because you see, even we don't have accurate data around COVID. This was something that was new. We have to create the data. We have to look for the data. We are sharing surveys online, physically even, just to understand what are our attitudes, especially as young people, around COVID. What kind of knowledge do we understand around COVID? What are the effects that you're feeling at ourselves as young people because of COVID? So you're also bringing that information forward. For what reasons? So that they can inform policies, yeah? Just to strengthen our living around this particular time. And we've seen policy being strengthened. For example, the sexual reproductive health, they have new guidelines that are specifically during this COVID time, because COVID is here, yes, and it has exposed our institutions even hospital institutions, even our leadership. Now we are seeing corruption at a totally different level with the COVID-19 millionaires. So COVID has come, our systems were vulnerable, and they're making it much more vulnerable. So bringing this data into place informs such policies, yeah. So that is where we are positioning our leg as especially WIACT, because we are a youth-centric program.
Okay.
We are bringing ourselves and amplifying young people, because young people are amazing. In the community, they're the ones making home liquid soap and distributing to the market. They're the ones doing the masks, like the designer from Kibera, doing the masks, distributing them for free in their community. Because remember, when COVID first landed, we were being told to use one surgical mask for one day, then throw it away, and it was 100 bob. 100 bob, that's the cost of living for someone in an informal settlement area.
Yes.
Young people themselves, they found resources, they custom-made those masks and distributed to their communities. They are doing art. You know, when you do art and you do graffiti, that is messaging. You'll pass there every day. You read there's coronavirus. It is real. You'll keep it in your mind, yeah? That's messaging, how to protect yourself. So I'll say that also young people are champions in their own constituencies, in their own ways to amplify, especially COVID prevention knowledge.
People like AMREF, they're doing due diligence by making sure that the data they give us and the information they give us is correct. And then that in turn has been able to help the young people figure out, how can I best help my community? But then it's really bad when your government is sitting back waiting for people like AMREF and people like Jack Ma to come and help the people. But then on top of now guys coming in to sidea us, they are stealing what is supposed to be ours, what is supposed to help the people. So we can receive all these donations and AMREF can give us all clear information, but when they take the PPEs, when they take these masks that are meant for the people, we are left with nothing. And then now you're seeing now young people taking initiative for themselves, like she's saying, to make masks for their communities, to distribute water and fetch water for the elderly people who can't do it. Because why? The guys at the top, the ones who are supposed to take care of that stuff, they're using it to finance themselves. They're using it to pocket and go on their holidays and do their thing. And then now they're leaving us to figure it out for ourselves. And then now it's like, what are other people doing? What are other people doing? It's like, no, it starts with you guys and you failed.
Okay.
Yeah, and then on the same line, Sheila, you see, like flattening the curve, you have to triangulate all efforts. The government, be responsible of that donation that you're given. Development partners and other corporates, like I said, the way Equity is strong and bold in issuing PPEs and even funds, be accountable for that. The community at an individual level, just understand how you can protect yourself and be kinder to the next person. When you triangulate all these efforts, because when one link fails, when the government steals and make millions out of donations from Jack Ma, everybody else at a legeza.
Okay, Sawa. Now, as we wind up, Collins, what's the way forward, you know?
You know, when you asked her, when we were talking about the government and you asked her about AMREF, and that is the mentality that Kenyans have, private solution for public problems, which is crazy. You see a bad road, instead of fixing the road, you go buy yourself a V8. What's supposed to happen to the next guys? Because this is a public problem. But you, the way you're asking for a private solution. AMREF is not the government. No one voted for AMREF.
I'm not asking.
So you cannot ask AMREF, what are you guys doing?
You're not
AMREF
getting.
is not the government of Kenya.
You're not getting.
We voted for the government of Kenya. You know, when we were in high school, our principal used to tell us one thing all the time. And then when we were young, we used to think this man is just ranting. Yeah. But now, as you grow older, you understand. Our principal used to tell us one thing. There are no excuses when you're a leader. You cannot lead and then make excuses. When a CS is standing outside his office and pointing and saying there are thieves here and he lives there, it's insane. Mm-hmm. There are thieves here. But you live there. You are the leader of that place. What are you doing about it? Don't tell us there are thieves here. What are we supposed to do now? Am I supposed to leave my house to come and tell you how to deal with your people there? It's insane. History is the best teacher. Something similar happened in 1918. And, you know, I feel like we should have just realized this a lot earlier because we wasted so much time with things that cannot work. They are impossible. Lockdown in Kenya is impossible. It cannot work. Social distancing in Kenya is impossible. It cannot work. You cannot impose social distancing in Kibera. It is good on paper, but on the ground, it cannot work. Whether you pray to heavens, muende concert, kumi, muombe, state house, mpaka kesho, it cannot work. The point is this, just let this thing, it has to take its natural order. That's my opinion.
Okay.
It has to take its natural course, whether we like it or not. We might want to social distance, watu waibe pesa, nothing. This thing is going to take its natural course. They did the same thing in 1918. Wakafungia watu 6 months, nothing. They fungiat guys 6 months, nothing. They had just to let guys and let things take their natural order, which is exactly what is happening now.
All right.
So if you're a student of history, you know that is the only course of action. Hakuna ingine, hata tuseme, hakuna ingine.
And youth are actually intelligent people, smart and brilliant. Let's open those doors in decision-making spaces for young people to even help the government in making decisions, in bringing initiatives forward for COVID prevention and help flatten the curve. Because young people are the best to understand their demographic because they live in those realities and they have unique ideas that can help their fellow peers in regulating and reducing COVID-19 because they feel like they're not part of it, yeah? When we were looking for employment, kazi kwa vijana, it was not kazi kwa vijana per se. But now because we have an important role to play so that we can prevent COVID amongst the older population, now we are very key. So what you're feeding to the system is what you get. So when we bring young people in the front line, let us be part of those decisions. I know that they will change and we will be the revolution for COVID-19 prevention.
We've seen that we are on our own on this, so it's on us to take that personal initiative to make sure that even if you're not able to impact an entire community, you can impact your immediate home. And if every young person can make sure that the members of their home, the members of their family are good and they are safe, then it will trickle down to everyone. So wherever you are, whatever small thing you can do to make sure the next person doesn't get sick or you don't get sick, then it's up to you as a young person to make sure that you do that for your betterment, for your family, for the community, and eventually the country.
All right. And we've been having a conversation concerning COVID and the youth. My guest for today was Valerie from AMREF, Sheila Muniva, the actor, and Kolo, the creative, the prince. My name is Patrick Atua. Until next Wednesday, this is Unfiltered.